During World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union had been allies against Nazi Germany. But after the war, that alliance quickly disintegrated. Determined to protect itself from future invasion from the West and to advance communism, the Soviet Union, at the end of World War II, took control of countries in Eastern Europe, and an Iron Curtain descended across the continent.
At the present moment, in world history, nearly every nation must choose between alternative ways of life. The choice is too often not a free one. One way of life is based upon the will of the majority and is distinguished by free institutions, representative government, free elections, guarantees of individual liberty, freedom of speech and religion, and freedom from political oppression. The second way of life is based upon the will of a minority, forcibly imposed upon the majority. It relies upon terror and oppression, a controlled press and radio, fixed elections, and the suppression of personal freedoms. I believe that it must be the policy of the United States to support free peoples who are resisting attempted subjugation by armed minorities or by outside pressures.
Fearing Soviet aggression, President Truman and Congress adopted a policy of containment, the objective of which was to prevent further Soviet or communist expansion. To combat communism, the United States embarked upon an unprecedented involvement in world affairs. In 1947, Truman persuaded Congress to send $400 million to Greece and Turkey to prevent communist takeovers. That same year, the Marshall Plan began a multi-billion-dollar program in economic aid to help nations in Western Europe get back on their feet and prevent the spread of communism. The United States also set up military bases around the world and entered into military alliances with Latin American, European, and Asian nations. In 1949, the United States organized the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, its first peacetime military alliance with Europe since the American Revolution. That same year, China's long and bitter civil war ended when communist armies, led by Mao Zedong, defeated Chiang Kai-shek's American-backed nationalists. The world's most populous nation was now under communist control. On a map, more than half of the world now looked red.
The communist-led North Korean army plunged across the line which separated it from free South Korea. And now, once again, the soldier was on foreign soil, making his soldier's way through the kind of troubles which had always beset his brothers.
When communist North Korea invaded South Korea in 1950, the Cold War turned hot. Truman sent American troops into Korea and anticipated a quick victory. But when troops from the United States and its UN allies got too close to the Chinese border, 33 Chinese divisions poured into North Korea and pushed them back to the 38th parallel. In 1952, Americans elected Dwight D. Eisenhower president. Threatening the use of nuclear force, Eisenhower prodded the North Koreans into signing a ceasefire in 1953. By then, more than 54,000 Americans had lost their lives. Determined not just to contain, but to roll back communist expansion, President Eisenhower wanted to increase American military strength. Afraid that the United States' nuclear advantage would put them at the mercy of the United States, the Soviet Union accelerated its own missile program. The nuclear arms race was on. Fears soared as each country rushed to develop and test hydrogen bombs, 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bombs the United States had dropped on Japan at the end of World War II.
The American people know that.
The arms race between Soviets and Americans would last for close to 40 years. By the time the Cold War ended in 1991, it had cost trillions of dollars and created enough nuclear weapons to destroy the world many times over.